Hello, everyone, and welcome to Social Savvy, building a social network for our homeschool teens. Today, we're going to explore some practical ways you can help your teens develop strong social skills and build a supportive network all within the homeschool setting. Hi, my name is Deshelle McVeigh. I am the owner and writer of Hide the Chocolate, a blog where I talk about a relaxed Charlotte Mason homeschool and some parenting things. I also am the owner and publisher at Literary Adventures for Kids, which is a language arts curriculum company for preschool through high school, where we help students to dig deeper into great literature through rabbit trails and hands-on connections to the literature. I am also a homeschool mom. I've been in the trenches with you and still am. I'm a little bit on the other end of it, though. I have two in college now and one still in high school. I'm also an educator. I've been teaching for uh, around 20 years, I think maybe a little over now. And I've taught in the traditional school system and in the homeschool setting and live with online book clubs and also in person. I am a little bit of a book addict, you may have guessed, by owning a literature curriculum company. And as you may have guessed, by owning a blog named Hide the Chocolate. I'm a tiny bit of a chocolate junkie. Nutella is my nemesis. Excuse me, there's a lot of allergies going around in where I live in the great state of Tennessee today. So here's some things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the importance of socialization. We're going to talk about connecting through social activities, and then we're going to talk about how we can create our own community if that's what we need. First of all, let's talk about socialization. You know, the funny thing is when we start talking about socialization, it becomes that word we don't want to talk about, homeschooling and socialization, because it just gets on our nerves. People are always saying things like, how will your children socialize? And we know they're going to be socialized so much because we're always out in the world. We're not hiding in our houses, and they're getting to know other people. And they're getting to know people of different ages. And so their socialization skills are actually better than their peers. But here's the thing, when they get to be teenagers, then maybe the end of middle school, beginning of high school, somewhere in that range, you can see a difference in how your children like to socialize. Whereas before, they had no problem going out and having fun with their neighbors or their family members or other people that have different ages. As they start to get into these teen years, they find that they need to be around more peers, people their own age. They'll want to be one of the cool kids or one of the, at least not one of the uncool kids, and they want to hang out with other teenagers. And this is very common and very normal. And we don't want to discourage this in the whole idea that, well, our kids are being socialized, our kids are being socialized. We want to give them opportunities where they can seek out peers of their own ages and have those moments to communicate with them and boost that self-esteem. So there's a lot of benefits of socialization. And like I said, it's changing from what we're used to in the elementary years. Of course, helping your teens to socialize isn't something that's always that easy. You know, there's a lot of things that are involved with peer pressure and bullying that can hinder healthy social interactions for teens. So, this is one of those things where we want to help them to form these healthy relationships. Honestly, if you look at the research, about 20% of students nationwide, that's between, with ages we're talking about 12 to 18, experience some form of bullying. And among those state students, we find that 15% of them are bullied online or by text. So just because they're not in a school system doesn't mean they can't face some of these unhealthy interactions. So these issues can seriously affect their mental health, and we want to be able to help them by finding ways to help them socialize with their peers in a healthy way. So, how can we support our teens through these challenges? Well, we're going to encourage them to form positive friendships and to maintain an open communication. As parents, you know you play a big role in guiding them toward healthy relationships. You can help them communicate their feelings and concerns. So always have that open door policy. With my kids, we have a little emoji that we send if they're in a situation where they feel like it's not positive for them. Either that they feel scared or they just feel anxious about it. So that I know, hey, I'm there to the rescue. And it's okay, mom can be the bad guy in that scenario and take that pressure off when they just feel like they're in a situation they're not comfortable with. But there's plenty of strategies for helping them to find activities that they do feel comfortable in. But we want to make sure we have that open communication at all times. Whether your teen is sporty or artistic or a book lover or whatever, there are plenty of ways to get them interacting and building strong social skills. Connecting teens to a supportive community builds their social skills and their confidence in life. So this is not just going to help them to be the cool kid or the not cool kid, um, or the not cool kid. Probably didn't say that just exactly right. This is going to help them in life, later on in life. So let's look at some of these activities that can bring them enjoyment, but also can play a crucial role in developing their social skills and social development. Okay, first is sports. Obviously, this is probably a no-brainer. Get them involved in sports. And sports are a fantastic way for teens to meet other friends and people who have the same interest. They teach valuable lessons about teamwork and communication, and this all while keeping them active physically. So one of my teens, my oldest, was a baseball fan, really very much into baseball. But when we moved into the homeschooling area, we didn't really have an opportunity at the time for him to be a part of a community that did baseball for the homeschool. We did find a small private school, though, that did not have enough players to have their own team. And so we took that team, we pulled in some homeschoolers, and we kind of had a mishmash of a baseball team for him. And we were just able to connect with that small private school, talk to them and say, hey, I see you don't have a baseball team. What is the reason for that? They didn't have the funding, so we helped with those things and helped them to get a baseball team. Another thing that we've done, our daughters liked archery. So we created a homeschool archery team. That team for the first few years was probably about 10 to 12 students. And we had to go through NASP, which, if you don't know about that, that's the National Archery in Schools program. We had to work through them so that we could do the tournaments. But our kids went to state, went to regionals, and they had a blast doing that. Our archery team has grown so much in the last few years, and we all know that the 2020 years gave us a big boost in homeschooling, but we're now so large that we're breaking up into smaller teams because we're over about 40 or 50, and we're bigger than some of the teams that come from the school systems. So you can do this. It is completely possible to create your own sports teams. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Is it going to take some time? Sure. You're going to have to do some research into what organizations there are for the sports teams. Like I said, NASP was the one we used, and kind of look in your local area. If you're fine with just playing sports with your local teams, that's pretty easy to do. Just create a homeschool team. If you do want to go to a state or national level, like we did with archery, then you're going to have to be a part of those national programs. But it's as simple as just starting the research. Now, you may have a painter in your family, or someone who's into music, a theater, or any other form of art. Art gives your teens a platform to express themselves so they can connect with others who share the same passion. And it's really a wonderful way for them to explore their creativity. So some of the ways that we've done this in our homeschool community is local theater. We have a local theater in our town and one in a town next to us. And my children in have been in these programs. Some of them not maybe a play, some of them are just maybe holiday shows. So you can even start that in your community. If you have a homeschool of friends and homeschoolers, you could create a holiday show or some type of program like that. Or you could do a year-end program that is similar to a holiday show. Also, art classes and art shows are great. We've done some where we just got a local business that opened up to us, and we put on little skits in the people would walk around and see the different art or the skits or whatever the things were that were going on for that program. So there's all sorts of things like that that you can do that don't require a lot of time and a lot of effort on you, just getting a place for them to do it and getting the homeschoolers involved. Another thing is book clubs. So this is kind of my bread and butter. So this is what I know the most about. But book clubs are another great avenue for social interaction. And in fact, the reason I became Literary Adventures for Kids is because of starting a book club for my middle schooler. She was at the point where she needed some of that social interaction with kids of her own age. She really wanted to be around girls. The boys kind of intimidated the girls a little bit at that time. So we started a book club. And that very first book club, I think, was about 7 or 8 girls that got together. They read a book. They would meet each month to discuss the book. But we also had some type of fun thing with snacks and food. And our first one was The Secret Garden, and we had a big spreads set out where the girls came and had tea, and they had scones and basically a high tea, a British high tea for the Secret Garden. Then they went into another room and they created their own little terrariums with little birds and little gardens and even secret keys there and garden, like the Secret Garden. And then at the end, they actually watched the movie, which, by the way, they all said was horrible compared to the book. So these are a great way for your kids to start developing critical thinking and communication skills because they're having to talk about the book and what they thought about it and what they felt about it. Plus, this is a safe space. This is a place where they can share their ideas and make friends and talk about stories they love or stories they hate. That's perfectly fine. Our book clubs have grown so much that we had to create a community for them because we had them for elementary, for preschool, for high school, for middle school, boys and girls separated and together. So we've had grown so much. But book clubs are a fabulous way for kids to get to know each other and have some fun. Another thing is volunteering. So volunteering, as we all know, helps your teens to build their social network. It allows them to meet a diverse group of people and learn the joy of helping others. It's also a chance for them to develop some empathy and a sense of community responsibility. So, some of the ways that we've done volunteer work is, well, we do this one every week and we've done it for years. Other homeschoolers do it as well, so we can meet together with them sometimes. But it's Meals on Wheels. We deliver meals to the elderly. So as your teen gets a little older, we did this when they were in elementary school, but also as they got older and they were able to drive, they could go out together as a team and deliver meals, and they didn't have to have mom with them. Although most of the time I am kind of there because I feel a little more comfortable there. But another way is the community garden. We worked in that. The kids all came out and worked in the garden behind a, excuse me, a retirement center and help the retired and the senior citizens with their gardens. But there's all sorts of ways that you can volunteer. Kids volunteer with childcare a lot in our community. Anything that you see where you could maybe get 2 or 3 out there to help and work together, and they form those bonds there. But it also teaches them to look beyond themselves and contribute positively to society. And we really want that for our kids. Another thing is homeschool groups. So participating in homeschool groups really benefits your teens. These groups provide a regular setting for your teen to interact with their peers and engage in group learning activities. So this might be every week, might be every month. I don't know what your scenario may be, but they're getting, sometimes I think they even meet two or a couple times a week. But these are a great way for teens to get to visit with each other, see each other while they're doing their schoolwork or whatever it is they're working on. So we've created several of those over the years. So that kind of brings me back to this whole idea. Well, what if these things are not already available in your community? So a lot of times, research that, check it out, look on Facebook, look on Meetup, different places like that to see if you can find a community that's already there that you can just add your child to. But if you can't, there are ways that you can get involved by creating your own. If you don't have a community to participating in, then that's okay. You can do this yourself. And I've created so many of these that I promise you can do this. So, first, setting up a homeschool co op or enrichment group can bring together like minded families to share teaching resources and responsibilities. And this is a great way to set up a social environment for your kids, well, and the parents as well, honestly. Now, what you decide to do is up to you, and how you decide to do it can depend on how much time and effort you put into it. So, if you want to set up a co op, that's more of a legal entity, and you're going to have to check with probably your state's laws, maybe even contact a lawyer, something along those, maybe HSLDA. I'm not really sure. I have never set up an actual co-op because it required so much legal things to set it up. And we just really never wanted to go that far. There are local co-ops in our community that we have participated in, but I'm not creating one of those. What I have created are enrichment groups or group learning classes. And those are things that you might meet monthly or weekly or however often you want to. And they're a little more laid back. You don't have to be a legal entity. It's just moms and dads getting together and helping each other run classes. So we've set up things like a monthly nature club where we went out once a month and we talked about different topics, generally seasonal, usually had a book involved with us because we always have a book. We've had cooking clubs where the kids got together and they created a certain recipe each month. Obviously, we've talked about book clubs. I've done tons of book clubs. We have art clubs where we've got together and done certain art projects. Currently, the one that I've been doing for the last probably 6 years is what I like to call an enrichment classes. And we meet once a month. We have met weekly before, but we just find it's a little better for us, our group now, to meet once a month. And during that month, the kids read a specific book, and then we come in and we have different areas. So we will start with poetry tea time, which I lead, that has something to do with that theme or that topic for the month. The kids will read poetry. We'll do tea time. We have tea and snacks. And then I will lead the kids through a poetry activity. Then we split up into age groups. And depending on what age group, depends on where they're going. But there's going to be a literature component of that where I'm teaching them, like a book club. We're going to talk about the literature. We're going to learn some type of writing project. We're going to go into another group that has an art project that has to do with their theme. So that can be anything from painting to watercolors to craft activities. And then we have another group that does a geography, talks about the geography and area that we are discussing at that time. Also, there's kind of a hands-on activity, I guess you could say, where they do like maybe some science experiment or some type of activity that goes along with the book. So these are great ways to just start something with your friends. Just find your kids' friends, talk to their parents, and I'm going to tell you, most of them are going to be in the same position. They're wanting to find groups that they can get their kids involved in. So this is usually works out to be perfect if you can find 5 or 6 other parents to work together with you. Then you can just meet up once a month. You don't even have to have a building or anything. You can meet in your homes. Sometimes people have asked their local churches if they could work there. We've often done local churches because they have, during the week, they have a lot of space there and has a lot of classrooms, and they're usually very good to work with. But you may have other places or businesses that you can use as well. But this is a great way to build a community that is really pretty easy and simple, and you're already kind of selecting your kids' friends. And they'll bring in other friends, so they'll get to meet some new people, and that builds that bond and that socialization there. Okay, so you want to promote an inclusive environment. So it's important that everyone feels welcome in these groups. So you want to try to create this community that values and respects individual differences. And this is important because teens are going through all this in their minds and in their bodies, that everything's changing. They're becoming adult. They're trying to figure out who they are. Some of them you notice may have some disabilities. Some may have learning issues. All these different things that are working together, and you want every child to feel like they are respected in this community and that they have a place, that they all feel comfortable. So no matter what their background is, their learning style, you want to promote that inclusive environment where everybody feels like they have a safe place to be. And, as parents, I think it's crucial to find the right balance and how much you get involved in your teens' social lives. So I think it's important that you support them, but you also need to step back and give them that space to grow independently. So this is where I say it's great to motivate your teens to take the lead in organizing activities. So not just you organizing everything, let them help you. So this will help them develop some leadership skills and gain confidence in their abilities. But you're going to find that some of these teens have some fabulous ideas. And, like I think my daughter's going to a homeschool dance this weekend. This is just a one fun thing that they decided they want to get together and do. and mostly it's girls, but there's a few boys in there, and they just get together and have a blast dancing and getting to talk to each other and spend some time where they're not doing schoolwork, where it's just fun. So invite them to help you to create this community. You don't want it just to be something you came up with, but for them to help you create their own community. Like I always say, this is your kids' education, but this is your kids' community as well. Okay, I love this quote. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. We've covered a lot today, from the importance of socialization to specific, saying that word in socialization is really hard, to specific activities that can help your teen to thrive socially. So remember, the goal is to support your teen in building this network. But I don't want you to think that you have to do that alone. Please reach out to other parents and work together to create a community that you want for your teens. I promise you there are other parents out there that are wanting to do the same thing. And if you work together, you can build this community that everyone is going to enjoy. And you as a parent will enjoy it as well. It's kind of fun for us as well. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you were able to find some of what we discussed useful and are able to implement it in your community and your homeschool. You can find me at any of these places at hidethechocolate.com, literaryadventuresforkids.com. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram and TikTok. You can also email me at deshelle@hidethechocolate.com if you have any questions. But before we finish, I just wanted to share something that might interest some of you who are looking for resources to make homeschooling even more rewarding and, well, let's always say less stressful, right? So as I mentioned in the beginning, I founded a company called Literary Adventures for Kids, and I've kind of talked about it a little bit. We create online courses. These are literature courses, and I call them online book clubs. So these courses are designed to be engaging and fit into a busy lifestyle. I know as your kids grow older and they get to be teens, their lives become, well, they create chaos in your lives. You're always going. So this helps you to take away some of that overwhelm because you can save a lot of time because we've done all this prep work for you, but you can save money because you can reuse this. If you have younger kids or even other teens, you can reuse our products. But what I really wanted to point out was we have a membership called the Society of Literary Adventures, and it's a community just for teens where they can join live book clubs and poetry tea times each month. So it's a great way for them to meet other kids who love reading and things like that and discuss their favorite books and honestly just have a good time. So if that's something you think that might help you in your homeschool journey, I am a firm believer that you should test things out before you pay for them. So try out the Society for 1 month for free. You can either scan the QR code, or you can go to literaryadventuresforkids.com/P/memberships and get the first month for free. Try it out. If you absolutely hate it, that's fine. Just cancel. You will not be charged anymore. And if you love it, hey, stick around. We're going to be having some summer lit camp fun over the summer, and then we'll be starting into our new school year with a whole new bunch of book clubs and poetry tea times that I'm terribly excited about. So again, thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and feel free to email me if you have any questions, and maybe I'll see some of you in our community.